Hello, everybody. It's game day, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles pregame show. Bo Wolf and Jamie Lynch. A beautiful day in Philadelphia, Jamie. The first real football weather. What a beautiful day. What a nice time for the Eagles to open their NFC East slate against the Washington Commanders here at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, it is absolutely gorgeous outside. It's the first kind of gorgeous game of the year for the Birds. They've been playing in a lot of slop in prime time, and I wish I was down in the lots having a cold, frosty one right now myself. The weather is perfect.
You got the stems out, though, as always.
Yeah. Still, it's not October yet.
Okay.
No, it is actually.
First
Today's
day,
the first day. But yeah, what a gorgeous game, and one of the few 1 o'clock games of the year. Which is a absolutely bizarre dynamic of this season to me.
Yes, exactly. One of two on the schedule at the moment, and I think everybody's excited to watch this team go out there now. An interesting sort of test for the Eagles. The line is up to 9.5, and so everybody's sort of expecting a blowout, but we saw what the Commanders did when they came into the LINC last year and ended the Eagles' unbeaten streak to start last season. Division games are weird, but you sort of feel like if this Eagles team is able to be the team they were last year on offense, this is the time to show it.
Yeah, I was just going over some gambling trends, and I said something to you that I found absolutely wild, that they still haven't really played that well in our eyes, yet every game, and including today, they've been a minus 450 or more favorite. So it tells you the respect that the bookmakers are giving this Eagles team. And it feels like they've been close to stringing it together. I think last week was a step in the right direction. And, I think a lowly Commanders team that does have some talent in places is a good recipe to kind of get right here.
And I think the most interesting part of this matchup is going to be when the Commanders have the ball, and we will get to the inactive news. We're going to talk to Zack Berman, who's going to check in live from the Lincoln Financial Field, rather. And it's an interesting sort of balance in this game, I think, when the Commanders have the ball, because the Eagles are without the guy who has started at safety the first 3 weeks, Justin Evans. He is inactive, could not get ready to play. Sidney Brown is inactive as well. That means Terrell Edmonds is going to start next to Reed Blankenship. This is only the fourth game of the season, and Darius Slay, the 32-year-old, is going to be the only guy in the secondary who's started and played all 4 games.
Yeah.
So you would imagine that the Commanders might think that there's an opportunity for them to throw the ball downfield on the Eagles and take advantage of a secondary that has a lot of moving parts right now. The flip side to that is, can they protect Sam Howell? Because he was sacked 9 times last week against the Buffalo Bills. He has been sacked, I think, 19 times on the season in 3 games. The interior of that offensive line is very bad. And boy, does that seem like an opportunity for Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox to eat.
Yeah, Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, they've been getting close. It hasn't really come through for them yet. But as you said, that interior of the line, I mean, it's the best in football. The fact they're able to rotate in a Fletcher Cox at the rate he's in and give him breathers, and he looks great. And Jalen Carter, I can't wait to watch this kid again. He's got me giddy about football. So then Jordan Davis just kind of gets the secondary. Yeah, he's playing great too. Yeah. But if he's on any other team, he's killing it. So, I would think if there's a nice prop on DraftKings for sacks today, I would take a look at the Eagles over, because I think they're going to be hitting Sam Howell a lot.
Zach told us earlier this week that Hassan Reddick had a really big smile on his face. He's got the cast off on that thumb. Nice. He feels like he's ready to go. And
he started slow last year. So this is... if you believe in history repeating itself with players, on the back of the card or whatever, then it's time for Hassan to get going. And once it does start for him, it should just kind of all flow.
What's your early opinion of Sean Desai as the guy leading this defense compared to having Jonathan Gannon the past couple of years?
I guess pretty good. One of the things I was reading was that his defensive ends, he doesn't like to have crash as hard, which might lead to lower sack totals, but they'll drop and play the run even better. So I think overall this defense has proven you can't really run on them yet. Obviously, he's had a lot of injuries and rotations in the secondary and losing Maddox and all that stuff. That sucks, but I think he's done a great job so far. I've been pretty impressed so far through 3 games.
I think so, too. You talked about the defensive line. One other thing we've seen is they're doing a lot more sort of stunts and twists up front. Last year, they were towards the bottom of the league in that, and just in terms of changing where guys are lining up. There's been much more variety in the fronts under Desai, and it's the same defensive line coach, so that has to be coming from the coordinator.
Yeah, and when you look at Sweat and Reddick in particular, your 2 best pass rushers, or edge rushers, I should say, they're also athletic freaks. So if you have that ability to disguise and stunt and twist, like you were saying, and use them in the run game, in the short passing game, and not necessarily you could kind of not care about sacks as much. Sometimes. I'm not trying to say sacks are meaningless. They're certainly very meaningful hitting the other team's quarterback. But if you're able to use that athleticism and have your interior become your pass rushers, it's a real interesting dynamic on this defensive line. And the Eagles' defensive line is really freaking talented.
It's crazy to me. I was expecting a little bit more of a long lead up into the Jalen Carter ascension. But it's crazy that they lost Javon Hargrave.
I know.
And the defensive line is better than it was last year.
And he has a higher pressure rate than Javon Hargrave does this year in fewer snaps. I mean, this kid's a freak. I can't wait to watch him play again. Baby Rhino, man. He's one of the most exciting Eagles since, I guess, Devontae Smith is a rookie. And
yeah, I think that's fair. At
yeah.
least, yeah.
And, could be.
The city loves defense more than anything, right?
Yeah.
I feel like he's got a chance to
We like
even,
the big boys in the middle. Yeah,
absolutely. So the rest of the inactives, Quez Watkins is not active in this game, has a hamstring injury. This will be his 2nd straight week out. You're kind of worried that maybe Olamide Zaccheaus is going to take his job.
Yeah, well, I mean, hamstrings suck. As soon as you think it's ready to go, you go, and it's not ready. So I understand why he's taking his time getting back. But yeah, Hurts mentioned him in the press conference that he wants to make him, more a part of the offense. He had a really nice touchdown play, or did he come up short on that? He came up short on that. But a really nice long play there last week. So yeah, if I'm Quez Watkins, I'm probably a little worried about my role in this offense if he goes out there again today and has a nice game.
So the Eagles are then a little bit short at wide receiver, only 4 active. My guess is that Albert Okuigbenam, who is active for the first time.
That's good work by you, Bo.
This season, will be the 5th wide receiver, and nominally.
I'm not trying that one.
Yeah, I think
I still can't
safer.
say Giannis, so
you got it.
Well, Giannis is fine. It's
okay.
the second name.
I see.
I don't even attempt it. I just stick with Giannis.
That's okay. Know your strengths.
A lot of O's and U's in there, and it's not good.
Tanner McKee, the 3rd quarterback, Sidney Brown, as we said, Justin Evans, as we said, Tyler Steen and Moro Ojimo, both still chasing the Feely, and Rashad Penny is back on the inactive list. So
interesting. The
with
Penny
Boston
thing.
Scott back from the concussion. Yeah,
Rashad Penny's really like the 4th running back.
Completely.
It's kind of. I wasn't expecting the
I
world
think it's
from him.
Okay, yeah.
I was just expecting a guy to play until he got hurt, which was inevitable, it appears.
Right, and I think that if they had to make a move, he's probably like the 2nd guy to go. Now, Mario Goodrich is back active in this game, obviously with both of the safeties down. I'm curious if he's going to get any playing time, but I would imagine that either he or Penny are probably the last guys on the roster at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. I think Rashad Penny, viewed Philadelphia as like, wow, I'm going to have an opportunity behind this line to show off and make some money in this league, and now all of a sudden he's, pretty much one of the last guys on the roster.
Well, it's funny because when they signed him, everybody was like, okay, what you got to do with Rashad Penny is just sit him for the first half of the season and then bring him in December when he's healthy. Let him play then. Maybe that's just what they're going to do.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Maybe it's the master plan.
All right. Do we have Zach? I think we do. So let's bring in the stone cold newsman himself, Zack Berman at Lincoln Financial Field. He's got the eyes and ears. Zach, first of all, good to talk to you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you guys.
Very good to see you. And
is my audio okay? Can you hear me? Terrific.
We can hear you very well, and you look fantastic. A gentleman
Nice
and
you
a
to
pro
say.
as always. First question here. We talked on Friday that Justin Evans was a limited participant. We weren't sure who was going to be the starter. Obviously, he is down. Terrell Edmonds is at safety. What is your expectation for what that secondary picture is going to look like? Is Tristan McCollum, who's been promoted from the practice squad for this game, is he going to be a factor at all?
Well, Tristan McCollum's the third safety right now. So, like you said, Reed Blankenship, Terrell Edmonds are the starting safeties. And if one of them goes down, then the Eagles will have to turn to McCollum, who has yet to play in an NFL game before, was elevated from the practice squad for this game. Or they would have to move a cornerback over, someone like Keely Ringo, perhaps, or even Mario Goodrich. But I would think Keely Ringo would be the top option to move over, just based on what I've seen and what I know there. So I think that what you hope for is that your starting safety stay healthy in this game. And it also obviously affects the slot as well. I know that was probably your next question, but Sidney Brown helped in the slot last week. He's out. And so the Eagles can't move a safety over. So my guess is you see James Bradbury and Josh Jobe on the field together. James Bradbury in the slot, Jobe on the outside. And I could imagine Mario Goodrich could mix in, but the first option, the top option, will be Bradbury inside and Jobe on the outside based on pregame warmups.
Zach, I know you pay attention to the snap counts over the year and how it progresses a little more than I do. Jalen Carter, I'm like giddy to watch this kid play every week now. Has his snap count increased over the last 2 weeks? And is it something where you see it growing even more? And kind of the same goes for Jordan Davis, or are they pretty set in their rotation with what they have at D-tackle?
Yeah, from like a pecking order perspective, there hasn't really been a dent yet. And it is something that actually came up this week. I asked Jalen Carter this question on Friday, and he said he's able to take on more snaps. But he'll do whatever they ask him to do. Nick Sirianni mentioned that they like this rotation that they have. To your point, Jamie, I'm surprised with the amount of snaps that Fletcher Cox has taken earlier this year. Fletcher Cox is like clearly the top defensive tackle in terms of the amount of reps that he has or the amount of snaps that he has. And I figured, given Fletcher Cox's age in year 12 in the NFL, and that'd be a situation where they try to preserve him for, December, January into February, and then you get some of these young guys on the field. And maybe you'll see some of that, but you've seen kind of this steady Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams as the this group after Fletcher Cox. And I do think Jalen Carter's playing time will continue to increase, but I think they're kind of managing him early in his career.
Sticking on that side of the ball, Zach, given the injuries in the secondary, we would imagine, we were talking about this at the beginning of the show, that Washington sees this potentially as an opportunity to hit some deep plays to Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel. Sam Howell hasn't thrown a ton of passes downfield this season, but you would imagine this looks like an opportunity for them. The flip side to that is if they're going to be dropping back to pass, they have to trust this leaky offensive line against the Eagles' defensive line. What's sort of your expectation? Do you think we'll see the Commanders try to do what they did last year and run the ball 3.5 yards a carry and control the time of the clock? Or do you think we're going to see them try to take advantage of where the Eagles are weak in the secondary?
It's a great question, and it's something we wrote about on allphly.com in our preview yesterday, and it's something I've tried to kind of learn more about this week because just asking around Washington, the way they're playing this year is not the way that they played in that win against the Eagles last year. And you are right that there probably are opportunities downfield. Terry McLaurin has been like an Eagles killer, so to speak, similar to how Larry Fitzgerald used to be. He had 100-yard games in both games against the Eagles last year. And he's someone who they could try to get involved downfield. But we've also seen Sam Howell sacked 19 times. So if he's taking these deep drops, the Eagles' pass rush is superior than Washington's offensive line. I know there's some thought that Washington could try to mimic that game plan last year. I would be surprised, though. I think that they're going to try to pass the ball. Sam Howell will need to get rid of the ball quickly, but there are opportunities downfield, especially in the middle of the field, where, like we talked about at the top of the show, the Eagles are weaker at safety and at slot corner than they traditionally have been.
Zach, I wonder if you got the sense down there at all this week, either talking to Brian Johnson or Dallas Goedert himself, maybe even Jalen Hurts. Does there seem to be a want to or a will to get Dallas more involved in the passing attack, or is this just kind of his role early on? How do you view the Dallas Goedert kind of inactivity? It was a big week for him last week with like 39 or 40 yards, but for the most part, he's been held quiet this year.
Yeah, I spoke to Dallas about it, and this has been an ongoing conversation, frankly, since week one when he wasn't targeted until later in the game. And it's not what his role is per se. It's just kind of the way the flow of the offense has been. They've obviously been a run heavy team to a certain extent these past 2 weeks, and that has affected the target distribution. They want to get Dallas Goedert involved. They view this passing game as like a big three: A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. And so this is not the type of thing where you're going to see Dallas Goedert have a minimized role. And I think at some point, one of these weeks will be a big Dallas Goedert week. But the way it's worked is they've been heavy 12 personnel in recent weeks. They've been running very effectively. They like the way Goddard's blocking. But you are going to see Goedert be a factor in the passing game. And like I don't want to predict it's going to happen today, but there is going to be one of these weeks where Goedert has 8 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown, just because that's the way the Eagles view him.
Commanders have been pretty good against tight ends this season, but it's only 3 games. It's a small sample size. Do you expect, Zach, that this is going to be it's sort of a similar question to what I just asked about the other side of the ball. Is this going to be the opportunity for Jalen Hurts to finally air it out and hit all of those guys and throw for over 300 yards and look like the quarterback he was most of the season last year? Or do you think this is, again, a DeAndre Swift, ya boy, back in Philly in front of the the electric fans in a beautiful outside situation right now?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big Jalen Hurts game. Now, that said, it could be like doing the rain dance until it rains and, thinking that the rain dance caused it, right? Because I keep saying this is going to be a big, this is going to be a big Jalen Hurts game. And I think the conditions are in place for it to happen. I would imagine Washington's going to try to bottle up that run, seeing how effective the Eagles have been in recent weeks. And I think this secondary can be exploited to a certain extent, right? We did the exercise in Thursday's show where we drafted the rosters, and Washington's secondary isn't superior to, well, at least their corners. They're not superior to the Eagles' corners. There's some questions of safety there, right? So, they're missing Percy Butler, who, I got to see, is he out? I got to look at that. Yeah, he is active. Okay, he's been banged up this week, so they're not missing Percy Butler. I apologize for that. I think that I'm expecting more through the air from the Eagles in this game.
Back to the other side of the ball, Brian Robinson's been having a pretty nice start to the year for the Commanders. Is he another victim of the Eagles' run defense today, or do you see a situation where they can get it going on the ground?
It would really surprise me. Now, obviously, that was the strategy Washington used when they upset the Eagles here last year. But this Eagles run defense, it's top in the league for a reason. I mean, they haven't really played outstanding running backs, although I wouldn't necessarily call Brian Robinson an outstanding running back. But it's like personnel-wise, they're different than the team that played against Washington last year. And the presence of a healthy and improved Jordan Davis certainly helps that. The interior of that defensive line has been playing well. I think the linebackers have been tackling decently when the opportunity's been available for them. But really, they've been shutting down these running games. So if Washington commits to it, yeah, Brian Robinson can he can pick up some yards. We've seen that. He had a limit. He was 10 for 70 last week or thereabouts. So we've seen him have productive games. But I think Washington's going to try to take advantage of the secondary. It's just a matter if they have the pass rush to do so.
Zach, you have given us so much insight, as always.
Well,
we appreciate. Oh, go ahead.
One thing. I saw a picture. Zach, the omelet station is back in the press box?
It is, but I didn't take advantage of that. No, I wanted to make sure that I was watching the pregame warm-ups. There was a line there. So I just had a quick bagel. Made sure that I was in front of those windows and watching as much as I could. So when I came to do this
Wow.
pregame report, I had as much information as I needed.
That's impressive.
Wow.
Blowing off the omelet
They brought
station to
back
bring you
omelet
the best.
station.
Although I got to say, I was distracted at one point. I just saw Kyle Neubeck on the screen there. The Drew Holiday trade caught my attention, and I was obviously looking at the details of that trade, texting with my brothers about that trade, and so might have missed. Bo knows I'm at the game. I'm always kind of checking who's on the sideline, who Howie's talking to, who Jeffrey Lurie's talking to, and I might have been kind of texting about Drew Holiday, Malcolm Brogdon during that period.
How long your commute is going to take from there to this office? All that good stuff.
All that good stuff, absolutely.
Well, Zach, enjoy the game. Take copious notes. Hopefully, the Sixers can do something to distract you during the game. But
They won't.
other than that, we will talk to you during the post-game show right here on YouTube.
Look forward to it. Talk to you guys soon.
See you, Zach.
All right. Thank you very much. The holiday
Committed.
thing,
He is a
tough.
committed man. Blowing off the omelet station
I mean,
to bring
you
you
can
the best
you can
information.
say a lot of things about Zach. You cannot take away his commitment. There's no doubt about that. And his journalism ethics, as he will let you know. Let's get into our best bets, Jamie. You are on fire here.
3-1 on the year.
3-1 on the year.
Yeah.
Not even including that
Plus 1,000.
plus 1,000 when you
Yeah.
hit week one. So we're gonna follow you here. You go first.
All right, I asked Zach about it right there. I'm gonna take Brian Robinson. His over under is at 53.5. I'm gonna go under the 53.5. I think the Eagles offense is going to put up points. It's going to cause Washington to kind of abandon that run game. And when they do go to the run game, I just don't see anyone running on this team right now. So I'm going to start there with Brian Robinson under.
That's the one that I went for and won both the first 2 weeks.
Yeah,
the
so
under
far
for the opposing running back
has been pretty
It's
good.
a good one. It's crazy how good the Eagles' run defense has been this year. They are playing much more even fronts than they did last year, and so they've only got 4 defensive linemen on the field, and still they have been much better than last year. I don't know what is behind that. I mean, part of it is it's only been 3 games, and they've played 2 middling running backs of the 3, but Jordan Davis is better than he was last year.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter is better against the run than Javon Hargrave was. I trust them implicitly against the run right now.
It's almost like you have to run to the edges versus defense if you have any hope. And we talked about earlier how, Desai believes in not crashing the DNs as much and letting them kind of roam free in the run game. So, I mean, they could be the number 1 run defense in the NFL week 1 to week 18 this year, and it wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah. All right, what do you got for number 2?
Number 2, I think it's Jalen Hurts Day. I think it's a gorgeous day, low 70s, perfect and sunny. I'm going to take him over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I don't think you see as much tush pushing today. And I think you're going to see Jalen go through the air, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Dallas Goedert get one.
Oh, what a good lead. What a good tease, because that is one of my 2. I do have a feeling. I have a feeling that Dallas Goedert is going to score a touchdown today. So Dallas Goedert touchdown is plus 230 last I checked on DraftKings Sportsbook. The Commanders have done a good job against tight ends, and so I don't think this is going to be like a 8 for 80 game for Dallas Goedert, some big explosion, but I think the Eagles have not done a very good job in the red zone this season for the most part. Over the course of the summer and training camp, we saw a handful of like Dallas Goedert plays in the short red zone. I think maybe they dial one of those up, make the guy feel better.
Absolutely.
He has been easily the third wheel of the 3 so far this season. Get him a touchdown, make him feel good.
And what's wild is it's the quarter mark of the season. Like, more or less. I mean,
it's crazy, right?
Which is, you don't want Dallas Goedert to be missing for quarters of a season. So I do think there's an urgency to get him involved.
All right, so we can, hopefully we'll get the second of Jalen Hurts' 2 touchdown passes.
Yes,
goes
that
to
would be great.
Dallas Goedert. And the other one I've got, we've been talking about it all week. Commanders are just not good in the interior offensive line. Jalen Carter over 0.25 sack, so at least a half sack for Jalen Carter. That's a straight plus 100 bet. I like that.
I like that too.
It's just, the guy has been so good. This seems like such an opportunity. Give me that one.
Yeah, I mean, even if he just collapses with somebody else, you're good there.
Yeah, I kind of like the Jalen Hurts under on rushing yards because it does feel like
it feels like a day they don't
like
need
40
to,
something, and and he hasn't looked that dynamic as a rusher this season so far.
No, he hasn't.
So
I mean, anytime you can take it easy on him. You saw me react in the one game. I was like counting the amount of hits he was taking. I was like, that's 13 or 14 hits already. Let's knock this off. You can't go 17 games. And let's not forget he's been hurt every year he's played. So like you do have to keep that in 100%. Mind if you're Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni.
No doubt. All right. Like minutes away from kickoff here, Jamie. Let's get our predictions in.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
I feel oddly great because I do know it's a division game and Washington does play you tough up here. Eagles seem to dominate FedEx Field, no issue.
One of the worst places in the world.
Yeah, it really is. But for some reason, Washington seems to play pretty well up here. I don't think it's going to be one of those days, though. I think this is a get-right Eagles game. I think Jalen Hurts airs it out. I think DeAndre Swift looks great again. I got the Eagles winning 34-21. They cover the 9.5 points. 21 might be generous to give Sam Howell in that offense right now. But like Zach said, Terry McLaurin does play well against the Eagles. They have the beat-up secondary. So I'll give them some points.
Okay, I like that. You've got them covering. I have the Eagles. Now, last week I made the switch. Covered both my sides.
Is there any flip-flopping this week? Or?
No flip-flopping this time. I'm going to stick with the Eagles win this game sort of handily, but the Commanders do get the backdoor cover. I'm taking the Eagles 27-20. I don't remember if that's exactly what I predicted on Friday, but it's basically
it's in the same ballpark.
It's in the same ballpark. So
yeah,
I think the Eagles will have a little bit more success throwing the ball this week than they have at any point this season. I think we'll see a better Jalen Hurts. I think there will be some times in the secondary when the Eagles' shorthandedness comes back to bite them a little bit, but I do think that this will be a get-right game. A get-right game for an undefeated team.
Yeah, 3-0 team.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous outside. It's going to be a great day down at the stadium. Jealous of everyone down there, but we'll be back, in the post-game show, so hop on in here. And for all you people in the comments section talking about Drew Holiday and fire Daryl Morey, I believe our Sixers boys are putting together an emergency podcast reacting to the big Drew Holiday to the Celtics trade. So if you got a Sixers itch on an Eagles Sunday, please tune into those guys breaking it down.
Who's hooking you up more than PHLY? You're going to get this Eagles pregame show. You're going to get the postgame show after the game. In the middle of the game, you're going to get Kyle Neubeck and Derek Bodner talking about how much Sixers fans need to be in their feelings about.
It's a two-team race.
It's going to be like what a roller coaster emotionally for
that really does
fans.
suck.
It's going to be like an 80-yard touchdown pass.
Drew Holiday.
We got Patrick Beverly at least.
We got to play the Sixers with the Celtics.
Okay.
Yeah, Tatum, Brown, and Drew Holiday. That's tough.
Oh well. Sucks, says Andrew over there. He's right. Okay, so that'll do it for the pregame show. Thank you to Zach. Thank you to all of you who watched live on YouTube. We will once again be back shortly after the game. Jamie Lynch, Bo Wolf, Zack Berman, Andrew behind the glass. There's no glass, but you know what we mean. So enjoy the game, everybody. Enjoy the weather. Stay tuned for that Sixers show that's coming up, and we will talk to you in a little bit. As always, we love you.